brakes and give your budget a break. You get it?
It's not exactly what I had in mind, but
Visit budgetbreaks.com. Brakes starting at just $100.
If you have been in Chattanooga any length of time, you probably know our next guest name. And when you think of her name, you think of the fact that she's always involved with some way to benefit and support and improve our community. So here she is again, ladies and gentlemen, Kimberly George Race, who is this time on the show representing something called the Disciple Making Mission.
That's right.
Which is near and dear, I know, to your heart from a behind the scenes perspective, but it's the first time you and I have talked on camera about it.
Disciple Making Mission. Yeah, a lot of folks, it's kind of one of those quiet ministries that a lot of folks don't hear about. So it's a pure joy to be able to tell their story, because what a story they have.
So what they do is they've been going in for a while now to Walker State Prison, but the success has shown to be so great that other prisons are looking into it to say, hey, come in and help our people.
Absolutely.
Improve.
So what Disciple Making Mission is, and it's not just for state penitentiaries, but also for the church and for others. They are going on the model of like a Paul and Timothy, if you're familiar with the gospel. Paul was a teacher and taught Timothy, brought him alongside of him and mentored him and really taught him how to then become a teacher. So this is kind of a teacher-student model with the gospel. And so they come alongside of men, and they've brought this into the state penitentiary, and the Walker State prisoners are finding just complete life transformation. They're learning about Christ, they're learning about the gospel, and they themselves are learning how to become a teacher so that they can then bring along students and they can be the mentor and have mentees.
So where the pedal hits the metal, so to speak, is it's one thing to see success within the prison system while they're there. We all watch as men are released from incarceration and then life hits them, and so often they come back.
Right.
That's where your success is really showing.
Yes, because we have seen, and Walker State Prison has said, there's a less than 10% recidivism rate, meaning less than 10% are now going back into the prisons, which when you look at the national average, I mean, it's just astounding. And so not only are they not returning to prison, their whole lives are transformed, and they're becoming better fathers and husbands, and they're continuing to search out those mentees even outside of the prison and continuing to teach the program.
So I'm sure this is largely volunteer driven, right? The people who are going in. So is that what they're looking for with the Disciple Making Mission? Do they need more volunteers?
They need volunteers, but they also need funding. They go in, and once a quarter, they have what's called a commissioning service, where the guys who have been a part of the program have finished the 12-week program and are now being like in a graduation commissioning service saying, okay, now you become the teacher and can go teach. And when they do that, they feed the entire prison, and they have this the ceremony in front of the entire prison. And so they get great food, they get loved on. We need volunteers to do that once a quarter, but also it costs money to go in and feed, and for the literature that it takes, the curriculum, to teach this program.
So when will the next one be?
The next one will be in 2 months.
Okay.
Well, they'll go in and they'll do a commissioning service.
Okay.
Now, it costs about $50 to provide a meal and the curriculum for one prisoner.
For one prisoner.
Right. And so, of course, $100 would, you do the math and you double it. So a $100 donation goes a long way. And what's great is that the other state penitentiaries are noticing the success and the change in the prisoners' lives in Walker State, that they're asking Disciple Making Mission to come into their prisons. So as soon as they can get the funding and the volunteers, exactly, we're going to be making a difference.
I only have about a minute and a half left, but it's so beneficial, it seems like, on multiple levels, because there is the initial learning that takes place, but for the men who then become the teacher, what a wonderful compliment to them, what that must do for their self-esteem.
Absolutely, it changes their whole countenance. They are now a completely different person. Whereas once they had no hope, they didn't believe in themselves, they now see the change that they can make in others because they've seen it in themselves.
Right. Okay, so if people want to give, Kimberly, do they just go to the website?
Absolutely. It's real easy. You can just go to the website, disciplemakingmission.org, and you can make a donation. You can look for volunteer opportunities, or you can even look for the curriculum to then bring into your own congregation or your own Sunday school group.
Very, very good. That is, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were the one who got to speak about it today.
Well, I
know-
just love talking about it.
I can see why you do. So here again is the website, disciplemakingmission.org. You can also find them on Facebook, and just mark it on your calendars, because 2 months is when they'll have that next commissioning.
Right.
And they would love to have as many people fed and celebrated as
Absolutely.
possible. Thanks.
Thanks.
Look no further than Mercantile at the Ridge for that unique home furnishing or collectible. The same familiar location